How do you think a government official can be both a victim of corruption and, in a way, its executor? Hello, friends. You're listening to The School Principal, Part 9, written by Jalal Al-e Ahmad.
It took 3 months for my salary to be transferred to the local culture department's payroll. And how happy I should have been for this delay, because it was during this time that the culture department's accountant once took the entire salaries of the teachers, janitors, and even the headmasters, along with the salary of the culture department chief himself and all the extra allowances for remote postings, child support, and marriage benefits for all the government's dependents, and ran off with it. The culture department staff left penniless and starving, an empty treasury, and a bunch of people with nothing but outstretched hands. They said it was about 50 or 60,000 tow-mans. I'm sure that in the realm of the local culture department in those days, many households had to skip their morning tea. But the good part was that the new janitor at our school was wealthy and loaned money to all of them. He gradually became the school's bank. Out of the 300 and some odd tow-mans he received monthly, he didn't even spend 50. He didn't smoke, wasn't a cinema goer, and had no other vices. Besides, he was the gardener for one of the big shots in the area and had an orchard, means, parties, feasts, and presumably a well-stocked kitchen. He didn't fiddle with his prayer beads for nothing. The respect his money commanded had long since filled the gap between him and the teachers. I didn't ask, but it was obvious he wasn't charging them interest either. So our teachers didn't have it too hard, and they quickly figured out that a wealthy janitor is far more useful than an ineffective, useless headmaster. That was the teachers. My salary was still being paid from the central office. The others must have somehow managed with their delayed salaries too, because not a ripple was caused. The guy became a morsel of bread eaten by the dogs, and for the next 25 days until the investigation was completed and a new remittance arrived from the Ministry of Finance, everything continued as before. Classes were held, decrees were signed, the office typists clacked away from morning till noon, and the indicator ledgers got filled with scribbles. The only difference was that whenever you saw the culture department chief, he was in a cold sweat, having made a scene at the central treasury and said such and such to the minister.
With the next month's salary, my name was also transferred to the department's payroll. During this time, I would write and sign my own work completion slips and go to the school where I previously taught to collect my salary. My becoming headmaster had at least this advantage, that you can present yourself to the paymaster's office with your own signature, whose officials are undoubtedly as strict as the agents of divine justice. One must be a government dependent to appreciate the value of this privilege. Perhaps the main reason schools are never left without a headmaster or a boss is precisely this. But there was also this. The accountant at that school wasn't very literate, and by the time he figured out that the work completion slip was signed by me, they had transferred my salary. However slow the department's paperwork was, it was faster than the mental processing of that school's accountant. When payday noise started, the teachers would straighten up and classes would run perfectly for 3 or 4 days a month, until I handed them their work completion slips. Except for that one time early on, when we gave the math teacher for grades 5 and 6 a red mark in the register, we never used red pencil again, and they were all at ease. But still, a month's salary for them depended on a single signature. And though the signature from a headmaster like me certainly wouldn't be delayed, after all, I was human like everyone else and might suddenly get stubborn and pick a fight with one of them. They must have calculated this, always getting them in line 2 or 3 days before payday.
When I went to the department to get my salary, it was so chaotic. I told myself I wished they had never transferred my salary at all. It was noon, and men and women were climbing over each other, exactly like a bakery during wartime. If you let go and left, it was impossible. At the paymaster's window, generosity, self-respect, or the slightest delay are sins whose penance is hot silver. Besides, isn't a government employee nothing but an open sack waiting at the pay window? And if you stayed with that crowd, you had to stand on your feet until 2 in the afternoon. I smoked cigarette after cigarette, paced back and forth waiting for the commotion to die down, and kept answering greetings from this person and that. All the department's dependents had gotten wind that I was the headmaster, and they were undoubtedly naive enough to think that one day they might need to visit our school. That day I learned that 1 out of every 3 of them had already spent half their salary in advance or taken a loan, or bought a rug or a samovar on installments, and had a promissory note that needed to be deducted from their pay. The previous accountant had also flown the coop, and the accounts were a mess. It was pure chaos. They were searching for promissory notes, cursing the previous accountant, begging, just overlook it this month. Everyone had become an expert on rights and accounts, and if someone got their money out of turn, everyone else would yell. That day, observing politeness made me so irritable that I resigned myself to a 2 or 3 day delay in getting my pay. But the bad part was that on the school's payroll, the largest amount was next to my name. Exactly like the greatest sin on the record of deeds. I was getting twice the salary of our new janitor. Seeing the pitifully small sums next to others' names made me so ashamed, as if I had stolen their money. For 2 full hours, I paced and let everyone go before me, perhaps to atone. And in all those 2 hours, it never once occurred to me that, after all, the others don't have 1/3 of your seniority, and half the crumpled papers you've rolled up and stuffed away in some corner of your life, not knowing where. I do this kind of philosophizing for myself now. That day, I only felt that when others get such meager pay, even if you're just an anonymous government dependent, you can't help but feel responsible. So I couldn't convince myself otherwise, and finally, when the crowd thinned and I had signed 10 or 15 forms, the cashier noticed me and, with a world of apologies, placed 600 tamans of stolen money in my hand. The wretched man.
The next part of this story will be uploaded tomorrow. What you will hear in the next episode. A teacher is run over by an American's car, and the only person who thinks to help is a principal who wasn't even at school that day. What secret lies behind this mysterious accident? Looking for entertainment? On this channel, we share Iranian poems, stories, and podcasts in different languages for you. If you are interested in Iranian literature, culture, and tales, this is the best place for you.